Does anybody know who this is?
My favorite singer, Selena.
Selena, we're live. That was a little trick I stole from Secretary-Collette Alston when she does her Tuesday things. Usually she has like a video in the background or something. So I learned that trick. All right.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy before Tuesday, Thanksgiving. No, today's Wednesday. Hello.
Today is Wednesday, hump day. What day is it?
Doing?
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Dulce. I'm Christian Kana, along with our co-host Mama Ruth and our other guests today. Today is November the 25th. Those of us who during COVID times, we sometimes lose the date that we're in. This is a wonderful day. It's a day before Thanksgiving. I am actually traveling safely under Governor Cooper's guidance. I took my test before and we're social distancing just so we can wave to my family in Tampa and say hi in the car and then go back to our trailer and eat and do those things. But, we want to welcome you today. It is 2 weeks before our 2-year show. We have been doing this every Wednesday for 2 years. That's incredible. I don't think I've done anything for 2 years constantly, but so today's topic is coming together as neighbors after the election of 2020. We want to talk about that. And I think we have some good news this week. I believe that the GSA has now allowed President-elect Biden to start his transition. So that is one little baby step. I don't know if the other one's ever going to concede, but now who cares? I don't know. I want to hear what y'all have to say. So as we always do, let's go around the Brady Bunch screen and introduce yourself and your imaginary button that allows me to share us on Facebook Live and also on YouTube and the other social media platforms. So, Mama Ruth, who's up?
It's me,
but
it's me, Barbara, Colette, Stephen, and Janice.
Mrs. Robbins. Okay, yeah, all right, here we go. Please
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Perez. Everybody calls me here at Mama Ruth. I'm a community advocate. And I love serving I wouldn't say just my city. I would say my state, my country. My secret buttons today, it's Medicare for all. We're living very crucial times. Medicare for all, we need every single person, no matter their budget, no matter their economic level, they need to be served as well as everyone else. And also gun sense reform. We've been seeing a lot of teenage shootings going on, and we're gonna have to be conscious as a gun owner to be preventive and have awareness and spread the awareness out there. Next.
I guess that's me. Good morning, I'm Barb Bacon. I'm a healthcare advocate here in South Charlotte, formerly in the pharmaceutical industry. As far as buttons go, it would be for me, Black Lives Matter. And I'm going to say healthcare for all because Biden is saying not Medicare for all. So I'm trying to be Biden directed, I guess. And also gun safety. We've had some shootings in my niece's neighborhood, and it just scares the heck out of me because I've got a 2-year-old niece and a 9-year-old nephew, and it just scares me. So I think we need to do that. So next.
I think that's me, if I heard Ruth correctly. I'm still waking up. Good morning. My name is Colette Alston. I'm the president of the African American Caucus here of the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. I have my little badge on this morning. And as far as buttons are concerned, or causes that, are near and dear to our hearts as a caucus, it's going to be around criminal justice reform, housing affordability, healthcare, education, and that goes for voting education and education around the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system. When it comes to, I'm hearing a lot about gun safety. I think that responsibility, and especially when the guns are starting to get into the hands of kids, that's just asinine and stupid. And these adults need to start being held accountable, and to be more careful with that, because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, I just want to make sure that as we get started in this conversation, that Black people do not forget that, okay, that's great that Biden won, but guess what? People are still, police are still shooting Black people, and we still have Black Lives Matter full swing. It's not going anywhere. Racism has not completely disappeared, and we still have a lot of work to do. So, good movement.
Agreed.
I'm Stephen DiFiore. I'm the recording secretary for the Mecklenburg County Libertarian Party. If I had a button, it would be taxation is theft, because libertarians believe that taxation is theft, apparently. If I had a pet issue, I would agree that criminal justice reform is top on my list, top on the Libertarian Party's list. In fact, the Justin Amash, a Libertarian congressman, introduced a bill to end qualified immunity. A bill that got no support from either the Democrats or the Republicans in Congress. Funny that. But now that we have the architect of the 1994 crime bill and a very aggressive former prosecutor from California in the White House, I'm pretty sure the country's going to take the right path on criminal justice reform. Here's hoping, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Hi, good morning. My name is Janice Robinson. I am precinct chair of 148 with the Mecklenburg County Party out here in Ballantyne, and I guess a community activist and organizer. And I guess my button issues are voter education and voter empowerment, affordable housing as well, and criminal justice reform too.
Well, excellent. It looks like we've got a lot to talk about in a positive manner. Remember, today is the thankful coming back together again show, Stephen. But that's fine. I'm Christian Connor, one of your co-hosts. I'm actually in Tampa, Florida, safely in a campground in an RV, which is why I have a virtual background going on, because this is just a brown wall right behind me. I'm crapped in our camper. My buttons, as usual, are Medicare for All, which I agree with our neighbor Barb. We probably need to rebrand that to Healthcare for All or something different, but Medicare for All. Also, I'm proudly still carrying my Biden-Harris sign. When we checked into the campground on Saturday, there was a big truck with a Trump flag flying around. I was like, it's over, it's over.
Was the flag at half-mast?
Yeah, that's the joke. That's funny, Stephen. That was good. So I put out my Biden sign, which was my Biden flag, which is an American flag, and so that's the sign or what I put out. So as we always do in Coffee and Pondusi, let's salute to Coffee and Pondusi. If you have a cup of coffee or whatever you're drinking this morning, if you're on a holiday, mimosas,
Not yet.
whatever the case. Yes, yeah,
Delicious coffee with maybe a little bit of Bailey's.
Well, yes, that's right. And we also want to thank our Pondusi sponsor, who the tamales that we brought here are from Manolo's Bakery. This is, and we brought a bunch of Pondusi. My nieces, they specifically asked for the pink cookies, and I bought the last 4 from Manolo's Bakery before we came out here. So please visit your locally owned Black and brown businesses, small businesses in the Charlotte region. Please support them, especially during this time period where they need every single dollar to stay in business and to get past, this COVID situation. So let's talk about the election is over. For some people, I guess it's not over. I keep thinking this morning, I wanted to play that video from Frozen where the lady is singing, let it go, let it go. I mean, is that still popular? I don't know.
Oh, my nephew still watches it. Yeah.
That will never go out of fashion.
Yes. So
you know what? That's a good question. Will people get over it? I mean, will they actually recognize that Biden is now our new president, or they will still be rebellious and still doing their own and thinking that it's going to change one day?
No, I think both sides just switched, right? So, the Democrats walked across the street, they put down their Russiagate conspiracy signs, then picked up Biden won, no impropriety, whatever signs, and then the Republicans walked across the street, put down their, he won fair and square to picked up, voter impropriety conspiracy. So it's just people switching sides. No consistency.
It feels that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, that's what we're gonna.
I'm just eating cookies on the sidelines, going, well, at least it's a show.
If you're eating cookies, I'll be sharing popcorn.
Yeah.
I guess kind of laughing about what Stephen said. Some of that I sort of agree with some of that, because it's like too many times there are groups that are out there just can't really, I guess it's drawing attention and being noisy. But when it comes down to the work, the grinding work that has to be done to enact policies, to get the policies pushed through, push our elected officials through. A lot of times people don't want to do that work. It's easier to be on the corner, yell and scream and so forth. But when it comes to maybe needing to go out and knock on those doors to get voters engaged so that they can help push these things through, a lot of times people are not doing that, don't want to do that. So I pretty much ignore the noise on both ends, and I focus on, okay, how are we going to get some things accomplished, because that's what's important. And so right now, I appreciate what the Biden-Harris administration is doing right now. They are just trucking along, putting everything in place, putting people in place, and getting the government set up so that we can begin to do the work that's got to be done to get this country back on track.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work.
A lot.
And I know we've talked about this before plenty of times on this show over the last 2 years, but isn't it just refreshing to have, like, I don't want to say normalness, because I don't know if we'll ever be like normal, however we all think normal is, but isn't it refreshing to have a president-elect who is just like acting like a president, and just, this is my cabinet, and this, and not, it's like, we've gone through 4 years of drama, and it's just like, I'm so thankful, as we are talking about today, that we have, it's like a little bit of weight keeps getting put off my shoulders each week when I hear his nominations and the experience they have. And it's just like, and the less and less President or Donald Trump becomes relevant, which to me, I just want him, he's always going to be, he wants to be relevant.
57
yes,
days.
Exactly.
Days.
It's like
relevant to me now.
So So the question is, and let's go around and everyone 30 seconds or less. Can you tell us, do you think we are able to is coming together as America, is that really a realistic expectation, or is that something that do you think that we are ever going to be like what people want us to be like? Or were we ever that way? I don't know. Let's go around. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So,
okay. 30 seconds, Stephen.
I'll jump ahead in line. Well, I gotta say, I'm a little sad because Twitter's going to be a lot more boring, and the news is not going to be as manic, and so the entertainment value of a Biden administration is a lot less. Whatever, it is what it is. But I tell you, this country has suffered worse presidents, and we're still here, so it's fine. It won't be a thing. It'll be standard, centrist policies coming from on high, and people will find a reason to love it or hate it.
Good job, Stephen. You took less than 30 seconds.
I've been practicing.
Miss Janice.
Yeah, I think it's important to define what coming together is, and that it's clear to people that coming together does not mean that we don't have differences, that we don't kind of have debate at the public square, but the various issues that are important to all of us, the various groups. That coming together, to me, is being able to have some civic, honest, mature discussions and debate as we all try to work together to get the issues and things done that are important to us as various groups.
We got to keep in mind as well that even though we have a new president, and yes, he's kind of ordering his new cabinet and fixing them really nice and pretty, not everybody is going to agree with some of his changes. Even though they might be Democrats, even though we might be, independent or Republicans or Libertarian. The thing that we have to learn is to know each other here at a local level and accept to disagree, like Janice was saying. Accept to disagree in some of the stuff that we're not going to be able to fix. But you know what? I might not agree with her. I might not agree with Collette or Christian, but I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to sit here. I'm going to support you, even though I don't agree with it, even though I might not think there's going to be a change, but hey, let's give it a try. It's going to be hard, but it's a change of mentality, I think.
I agree with you, Ruth. Janice and I both are on Ed Driggs Friday morning Zoom calls. I'll be curious to hear the temperament again. The last one was just totally national politics, election results. And after we hung up, I was a little disappointed that I expected some of the more senior people to be, all right, let's just let him get over it and whatever. It wasn't that way, but maybe after the holidays, we might be back to normal. But being a person that was physically in those meetings, everybody got along. And like you said, locally, yes. And that's what I'm hoping for, because if you look at the polls, it's going to be 70%, 80%. Yeah. And switching roles, but locally, I think we should all be able to get along. I think we will.
Yeah, let's not go that far. I mean, I don't agree with 100% with Roy Cooper. I love him to death because he's a great governor. But as of right now, mandating something that we could have done and taken care of at the beginning, not now, I don't agree with it, but I have to follow the rules and I'm going to do what is right for me and for my family.
Yeah.
Collette, you want to jump in?
Yeah, ultimately, what we all have to realize is that we're all human. And at the end of the day, we're always going to have differences. Nobody's ever going to agree on everything. But one thing that this country, in order for us to truly come together, we really have to get to the core of the cancer of what really truly splits us apart. And that needs to start to come from the top down. And being a part of the Democratic Party here doesn't mean that all Democrats are alike. We don't get along. So we need to start, really addressing the core pieces that can truly bring us together, and stop sweeping things up under our rug, because we're never going to get anywhere if we don't address what our real issues are. So that's how I feel like we can come together a lot better. That will trickle down and get into your local side as well. All politics are local. And so that involvement of the local and the engagement that Janice was referring to as well is key and core. If we don't act and do our civic duty to understand how to move and guide this nation, then there won't be a coming together of anything. We really, truly didn't really come together for the election, if you really think about it. We had more people to come out and vote, but the majority of the ones that we came into contact with were like, well, I really don't know who to vote for or why, is there a D beside the name, and that's not the reason why someone should be a Libertarian, a Democrat, the Constitutional Party, or Republican, period. So we have a responsibility as citizens to understand what our civic duties are. We need to get to the core of it and hold everyone that is in office accountable to get to the core to really fix our country, to bring us together.
Hey, Collette.
You said it so perfectly, and apparently she's been watching our show for 2 years. So I just want to I agree with you. As a Democratic Libertarian, I always found it very interesting, especially here in North Carolina, that we complain, and I'm going to generalize, but that we talk about how the Republicans treat us in a certain way, or even Trump supporters, when we have our own Democrats who treat us a certain way. And so in order for us to ask for unity, we have to admit that we have not always been unified in North Carolina. We've never had a person of color who's a state chairperson in this state. That in itself should be like next week, when we're celebrating our first woman and person of color as vice president, our own Democratic Party should say, I'm sorry that we also have not ever had that before. And until we can actually face that reality, how do we expect to mend those bridges in our rural areas where we're asking our rural neighbors of color to vote for us? Because they're saying, it doesn't make any difference to me. The Democrats are still going to treat me the way they treat me, and the Republicans, so, you're all bad to me. So as Democrats, there's nothing wrong with us saying, we're sorry. We have not been, a great. And so hopefully, I'm hoping we get a new state chair, but that's another show. So let's talk about, what do you think? I mean, does anyone think that what do you think the people who supported Trump, how long do you think it's going to take them to, I don't know, is that even a fair question?
Wake up, come out of their dream.
So let me tell you, I realized 6 days ago the Dallas Cowboys were never going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. So
I'm still dreaming.
So are you over it?
Yes. So even I have come to the realization that we're bad.
I still believe in them.
Yes. So do you think that people who are flying those Trump flags around or whatever, do you think they're ever going to come to the realization, or should we even care? I don't know.
I think they're going to console themselves with the fact the last time you had a first-term president, like a one-term president that got kicked off the election by the opposing party and had a son of political age, that son was then elected. So when when Bush Sr. was a one-termer, then you had Clinton. And then after Clinton, you had Bush again. So the Trump people can look forward to one of the Trump sons, or maybe the Trump daughter, to be the president in 4 to 8 years.
Anymore? Oh.
And it's gonna be just as I'm hoping it'll be just as much fun.
I bet.
Steven, this is not the Halloween show.
No, Steven should be writing a novel.
I'm sorry, Janice, you want to say something?
Well, one thing I think is important for people to understand that there are folks in the background that are driving some of this stuff. I mean, even when it came to the Tea Party, I mean, there were big money groups that were actually funding that whole movement. It wasn't from the ground up. It was being funded by corporate interests. The Koch brothers, got that stuff started, and those same individuals are driving this stuff too. Unfortunately, and not all of them, but many of the people that are, I think, are probably Trump supporters are basically being swindled again. I mean, Trump is using it to raise money. Trump, I have felt since I was in my 20s that Trump was a con artist. He's still a con artist, and he and his cronies are conning these people. They're raising money off these people, and they are big. And I believe that there are some big money interests that want to keep this thing floating for their own benefit. And a lot of times it's not to benefit those people who oftentimes are people who are of lesser means, are basically poor or middle class, and have real needs that need to be met. And so I think it's important to understand that a lot of what's driving this is big money behind the scenes, and they're going to keep this stuff going. I hope that, many of the people who are just really people wanting to have their needs met, wanting to be heard, that they can be reached, and we can and their needs be met, so that they too can become educated voters, real educated voters. Because of some of this stuff is just people behind the curtain pulling the strings on this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Good point. The last question before we end the show is going to be, what can we do individually to help move forward to that, I hate to use that perfect union. I don't know if we're ever going to be a perfect union, but that we can move forward to bringing. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this, and we were going to talk about this last week, but we switched the show topics. Last week we talked about how to travel safely during the holidays under COVID-19, and Dr. B gave us great advice, plus the advice from Dr. Cohen and Governor Cooper. And then, of course, this week, because of Thanksgiving, we have so much to be thankful for. I know I do. And so, I'm going to tell y'all at the end of the show what I'm doing to try to be more accommodating to those who did not vote for our president in my own family, because
know the feeling.
this has been a interesting scenario. So, you know, for those of us who voted for President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, you know, I don't know if we ever really got to, I think we all expected to pop the champagne the day after the election. And for whatever reason, Trump said, I'm not going to let you have it all. I'm going to stick it to you as long as I can. So we've had to kind of like pop little champagne bottles along like the next couple of days. And, you know, as Dr. B said, he's waiting to pop his champagne on what, January 20th on Inauguration Day.
Me too.
And so I set my celebration day back to, first it was to what the Electoral College meets. And then now I'm going to set it back to January 20th. Do y'all think we're ever going to be able to get that moment that we wanted? Like, you know, I mean, I don't know. What do y'all think? 30 seconds or less. Okay.
I have mine already. I'm still having it. Again, it's the show. It's the show. The media people get on my freaking nerves. They need to stop allowing Trump and his cronies to drive the narrative and keep this Trump freak show going. I turned it off. I mean, it was clear that Biden was winning. He had won. And so, and I hope that the Democrats, that Biden and his team will be a lot stronger and not let the freak show dominate, you know, the conversation. I ignore that stuff. I turned it off. I'm like, yeah, we won. So, you know, it was just a matter of allowing time for the media. Because again, if we remember how Trump got into office to start with, because the media gave him all that free airtime. And they still doing it. It's because of ratings. And so, I've been celebrating ever since, and I'm still celebrating. I've celebrated the week of the election, you know. So, you know, now I am concerned about the down ballot issues, and I hope we have a chance to talk about some of that.
Yeah.
But as far as Biden and Harris, they won, and so the rest of the freak show, I ignored it.
Anybody else? You know, I guess
I could talk about media all day long, but I mean, we don't want to be here while little old me screeds against how morally bankrupt and ridiculous the mainstream media can be. It's all about ratings, though. You know, to Janice's point, right? You get the Trump bump was a legitimate thing in the media industry, whether it's social media or legacy media. And these folks, you know, they gotta pay the bill somehow. And controversy and, you know, tickling the medulla oblongata in the back of your brain, you know, the lizard brain that just reacts like that. That's a real driver. And, you know, with a more typical presidential presence being in the White House, there is going to be, you know, a metaphorical bloodbath in social media and in media spaces, and a lot of these folks are figuring out what to do. I mean, even I think it was CNN is so underwater on its debt obligations that it's going up for sale. Like that's a big deal, man. You have, you know, people from the Times being laid off or being put on furlough. I mean, and you know, you're going to get headlines that are more and more ridiculous. You know, like
what are we doing? Us as people, what are we doing to stop the media from doing all that?
The only thing we can do, and this is going to be turn it off, ignore it. You know, but then again, how do you get your news sources, right? That comes to a problem. Like, where do you go to get?
Well, we have to speak up. We have to let them know. We have to write letters and tell them, or whoever is the president of the CNN or whatever, that they're doing wrong, because that's not right. Why?
Oh no, they know they're doing wrong. They don't care because you have to earn money, right?
So then we should do boycotts. We should stop allowing them, because we're the ones that hold them up.
So that's interesting you say that, Stephen, because it works at all levels, the macro level and the micro level. I don't know, anybody, economists, did I get that wrong? Micro. One of them's bigger, one of them's smaller. I can't remember which one.
Micro is smaller.
Okay, all right. So at the micro is smaller, right?
Yep.
Okay. So at the micro level, it even works. Just with this little tiny show, whenever we have a Republican or someone who is a Trump supporter, we get about 2,000, 3,000 viewers, okay? And that's without any bumping on social media. We get, or at least, you know, we can see the demographics and everything. When we don't, we average about 400 to 500. And then, of course, later it kind of trickles on. So when we have Matthew Ridenhour on, we had like 10,000, I don't know how many.
A Russian.
Yes, our Russian from from Union County who was running for Congress at the time, or even the Mexican, the country Mexican, the Trump supporter. We had a lot of, so even with our little micro, when we have people who are a little bit different than us, people want to see what, it used to be they want to see if I said something crazy. Now they really know that's the case. And so now it's like, oh, I wonder what are they going to support this person? Are they going to, whatever. And that's just at this little bitty level. So I understand if you are a person this is like your whole income and livelihood, Don Lennon or Anderson Cooper or the CNN or whoever, you have to get those people on so that way it not only upsets us who watch it. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but what's the senator that's always on CNN? That's always the Republican talking point.
From Pennsylvania.
Yeah, from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Every time he talks, I'm like, why do you have him on here? Rick Santorum. Every time he's on CNN after the elections, he's talking, and I'm like, why do you have him? This is, turn him off. But he gets people riled up, and and so that's why they have them on. So that was a very good point. But let's as Janice said, let's go down to the non-federal races, or let's go down a local. Unfortunately, the person that we really needed, Cynthia Wallace, did not win her election. We've got Bathroom Dan Bishop back in there again, who is just going to worry about people who voted for him, and I think he's going to be a thorn in President Biden. That's what he does. He likes just to be crazy. That's who he always is. I think we may have lost a couple of seats in the state house here in North Carolina. If you're a Democrat, I believe we may have lost a couple of seats. So, I mean, Janice, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Our judges.
Yeah, our judges. Oh, yes. So we did, how do we, I don't know. Anybody want to say anything about that? I don't want to get myself in trouble today. So
No,
anybody?
You're being good today.
Yes.
That part was, I started getting involved 4 years ago after Trump won. And I went down to many people have heard this. I went down to the Democratic Party. They were having a board meeting. I wasn't involved with the Democratic Party. And I asked them, what are you all going to do and how can I help? And my main goal was getting Trump out of office. And so I started getting involved, became precinct chair here, started organizing in the Ballantyne area. And so we met our goal to get Trump out of office. But about last year, about this time, it started dawning on me, and after having conversations with like a Wesley Harris and so forth, that and especially when it became clear the importance of the census and our being able to take back control of the state house because of the census, because the lines will be drawn again for the next 10 years. So it became more important to me, even than getting Trump out of office. And I started getting that message out. It's even more important than getting Trump out of office, as much as I dislike Trump, was that the Democrats winning control of the state house because of the census and the lines being drawn again in the next 10 years. So with the Democrats not having control of the state house, that means the Republicans have control again, and they will draw those freaking lines again. So I am very concerned about that. I'm very disheartened about that. But I'm one of these people, okay, let's go back to the drawing board and let's get ready again. And so we're gonna have to do some strategizing. I'm one of the groups I'm involved with. We're going to be connecting with Stacey Abrams' group to sit at their feet and learn what we can do to really begin to increase our efforts in voter education, voter registration, but also more importantly, voter education, what Collette was saying. I'm having some conversation with the Indivisible 9 group, and they have a goal of registering 200,000 voters in North Carolina before the 2020 race. And so, we can sit back and lick our wounds, or we can get busy, and ready for the next.
Not only that, people should
next year's election, Collette, because we vote every year, twice a year.
They should also understand that we didn't stop just by the election 2020. I mean, we have another one coming up in spring again, and then local elections that people got to understand that we have to make some changes. And if we don't get involved, then we cannot regret, we cannot whine about it. We cannot come and sit here and be on the show and say, well, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, but no one did something to make that change.
What we can't do is get complacent and get comfortable. Yes, there are elections every year, and we need to vote twice a year. That has to get repeated and ingrained in us across everywhere, the United States. Here in Mecklenburg, we'll be voting for our town and city councils next year. And we will also be voting for our school districts. Our at-large people were voted on last year, and our school district people will be voted on this year. So just keeping that in mind as well. But the education piece is really what I'm a little angry, to be honest, with every party of how, you know, when we're taught civics in school, when it doesn't, nobody gives a crap about civics because we're not paying bills when we're in high school or middle school. We don't understand what the mayor is supposed to be doing for us when we're in, you know, sitting in class. But when we get here, go ahead. Yeah.
In North Carolina is the only place where I've noticed that our mayor doesn't have a voice.
Silent.
That's another. When you say North Carolina, remember that there's a mayor for every town and city. Okay, so the city of Charlotte is going to have a different mayor than Huntersville, and then Cornelius, and then Davidson, and all of our different townships. Okay, so the voice depends on, I think, more so in the personality on the mayor themselves. But
not really, because they don't have voices like the way like other states. I come from Texas, and Texas, my mayor didn't have to wait for the government to say yes or nay. They have something. They have
a voice. They have a voice, Mama Ruth. How they use their voice, I think, is more so what you're referring to. With the actual power of what they have is what you're referring to.
Correct.
So we're more controlled here in North Carolina by the managers of these townships that the mayor and the city council or town councils appoint. Okay, so that's where that power structure is a little bit more shifted than what it may be in other states. And as we continue to grow, especially in the city of Charlotte, we're going to have to start looking at what that really means for us. Again, for the city of Charlotte, might not be worried about that in Davidson, might not be worried about it in Cornelius, but whatever we do in Charlotte is going to affect the whole entire county. So when you start to understand how all these things are interconnected, then that's where, you know, as citizens, we have to start making some choices of how we want to change our legislature and push, you know, our senators and our House of Representatives on getting some rules to trickle back down to say, okay, hey, now we want the mayor to be more so of a city manager, or, you know, switch the reversals, you know, but we have to understand how to get that to change and get involved in it in order to make
sure she's willing to as well, because, you know, that's something that, yes, even though you might not have, you might feel that you don't have enough power, you still have power to speak up and kind of bring together the city, even though you might not have enough power to do it, but you have people around you that can help you build it.
Agreed.
And that's something that we have to, I guess, education helps us a lot. Thank you, Collette.
Well, one of the things, Mama Ruth, I know you want to read some comments, but one of the things that I really appreciate the African American Democratic Caucus of Mecklenburg County, did I say all that right? Doing is they actually are out there trying to educate people. They have they've been doing the voter education thing, canvassing, trying to canvass unorganized districts. And these are things that I appreciate that they're trying to do. And quite honestly, because apparently I'm not a Democrat in good standing, it's saddening that the caucuses have to do it instead of the county. And it's sad that the caucuses have to do it instead of the state. And so I've always said, listen, we need a clean house, just like in a business, you know. And I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble, but you know, at this point, who cares? I got
CMS. A lot of people don't understand, why are we supposed to vote and elect the right people for our kids' education? Okay, we just want this because she smiles or she's very nice to me everywhere I go. No, it's for more specific reasons that we need to make that change.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say this once because it's all about Thanksgiving, but my family received 12 mailings for Senator Jeff Jackson for senator, paid for by the North Carolina Democratic Party, 12. I received 0 for Cynthia Wallace, paid for by the North Carolina Democratic Party. And so for me, it was like, why don't you just spend 6 on Jeff Jackson and 2 on Cynthia, or 3 on Cynthia, or, you know, or I didn't
Split
receive
it.
one for, I didn't receive one for Brandon Lofton from my state house person, and he was in a race too. So I do think that we have to accept the fact that even within our own party, as a Democrat, if you're a white male candidate, you're going to get all the support. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, they're no longer the majority in our party. So why do we tolerate it? And then when we do, they say,
Why are we fighting for, or why are we
Yeah.
trying to change equality and equity for
Mhm.
everyone if we're
Yeah.
not being the role example of it?
Yeah, that's why the only group I'm a member of is African American Democratic, you know, Caucus, the Progressive Caucus. I don't give anything to the state party because I want it to go specifically for groups, and Cynthia Wallace and people directed. But with that said, we do have a person who actually ran for mayor a couple of years ago, Joe Odom, and he would have been one of those persons, I think, had he won. Not only he'd been one of our youngest mayors ever, but he would have been one of those persons that I'm quite sure he would have used his voice differently than our some other mayors in the past, because as Collette said, and I think everyone understands, the mayor here doesn't have as much power as maybe other mayors, just the way the charter is, but they still have a voice. They can still make videos about wearing masks. They can do those things. Go out and get tested. I'm going to get tested. Go out and get tested. They can still do those things. So Joel, 30 seconds or less, you want to tell us about what you think? Can we bring us back together again? You came in a little late. I know you're.
I know. I'm sorry.
getting ready
I'm
for
in the
Thanksgiving.
mountains.
That's fine. Oh, wonderful. It's gonna show out here. All right. So you know, how do you think we can come together as neighbors after this election?
Well,
do you think-
for me personally, I do believe that we as this country can come together, because well, you know, I do read and everything. And so John F. Kennedy once said, when we were dealing with one of the worst moments in history for African, just for anybody of color, you know, he said, we breathe the same air, we all care about our children's future, and we all die. And so we all are the same. So I do believe personally that we can come together. If you have to be willing, to come together. That's the first thing. If you're not willing to change, there won't be any change. And that's just the problem, because there's just so much pushback that you're going to get behind it. But like you were saying, I did run for mayor. I ran for mayor in Charlotte because there was so much happening. And for one, I'm not afraid to speak on stuff. You know, nobody pays my bills. Nobody has anything on me. I'm only 22 years old. You know, like, they looked into my taxes. I don't owe anybody. So it's just like, you can't really do anything to me. And so I have that privilege. All young people have that privilege to stand up and just speak out, speak up. But sad to say, you see a lot of elected officials that's just been in the game for a long time. It's just like oh, he or she's coming to try to take my spot. But it's not really your spot. It's the people's spot.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That was very well said. God, when you talk, I think you're like 40 or 50. So I just thought, but it was just, it's wonderful to see young people engage, because we always complain about how young people aren't engaged. And then when they get engaged, we tell them, oh, it's not your time. So it's like, you know.
I mean, there's that old saying, you can tell the quality of a man by the company he keeps. And look at the company that Joel keeps. He's definitely a quality human being. He hangs out with us.
That's
right. That's right.
And he's one of the best dressers besides all you ladies. That's right. So we only have about 15 minutes left on the show, and you know, I think the question should be, what can we do individually to help people come back together, or do we want to even do that? So you know, let's go 30 seconds or less. Tell us what you're doing or what you think, or I don't want to put anybody on the spot. So who wants to go?
I'll go first. 30 seconds.
Okay,
all
Steven,
right.
Yes.
So, being a third party guy, always I'm in a room with people who pretty much disagree with me, whether it's my, you know, the side of my family that tends to vote Democrat or the side of my family that votes Republican. And politics always comes up because I have a sickness and I love politics. It's a personal failure. But the thing you need to do is instead of finding the items of disagreement, look for the items of overlap and agreement. You know, we all have things of commonality, right? Things that we can make common cause on. And by focusing on those and maybe trying to have a discussion to understand someone's viewpoint, you can always have a positive conversation and walk away from it in a positive way. Oh, you like this too. Oh, I like that too. And if politics isn't your thing, you know, discuss hobbies, you know, or, you know, how much the Cowboys are awful.
That was good.
We're doing
Who wants
so
to go?
good until you mentioned the Cowboys.
Miss Janice, you want to say something?
Yeah, well, okay, so your question was, what are we as individuals, what are we personally going to do
Mhm.
to try to help bring the country back together, to try and
Mhm.
bring, I guess, our groups back together? And so what I plan to do, what I'm going to do is to listen without judgment. Because people on both sides, and the Trump supporters, they lost, and it's hard to lose. And so I'm going to do my best to listen without judgment and to really try to hear. And I think it's important to hear. I want to hear what it is that that underneath the vitriol. What is it underneath that for them personally that they are concerned about or want to see done for them? And so I'm going to be a listener. I'm going to listen without judgment, and I'm going to be willing to engage in some of those conversations and listen without judgment.
I agree with you, Janice. And for me, locally, we have an issue here with water problems off the golf course, where our yards are being washed away. Because all they have to do is get it off the golf course, and then it comes flooding through our yards. The man that's going to help me with this, he did not get elected. I told everybody I could think of that if they were going to be on their ballot to vote for him, he didn't make it. So I reached out to him this week. I figured he probably wasn't too happy, and I gave him some downtime, and he said, oh, no, I'm still going to help. He's the right person. He's got the skills. He's got the connections, and he is willing to help our neighborhood. To me, that's an inroads for me to forget about the election, because they all know that I worked for Tara, and they label me a Democrat. I'm not, I'm an independent, but it's something else for me to talk about and bring everybody together again. And something that's going to help the whole neighborhood. And I don't know some of these other people, and bring all those people together. We can't have a meeting at my house like I used to have, but we can Zoom and try to get that going again after the holidays. And by spring, maybe have a plan. But we needed help, and we weren't getting any help. And this gentleman's going to reach out and help us. So that's what I'm going to do. I may get in trouble, but I don't care.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
No,
Joe.
I guess I'll go. Well, one of the things I'm working on right now is the juvenile detention centers in the state of North Carolina, the North Carolina Department of Justice Safety. I'm working with them. I even wrote Governor Cooper, hoping he'll write back. But what I'm doing is there's like, the state of North Carolina has over 500 and like close to 70, I think, beds for young juveniles. And to me, last year in 2019, I went to go speak. No, it wasn't last year, 2 years ago, I went to go speak in Cabarrus County. And it moved my heart because something was telling me, Joel, you can't forget about the children.
Yeah.
And in this tough time, you know, no one's really going to visit them. Nobody's thinking about, no one's talking about them. And, you know, that's just really sad, because the worst part about it, when they get out, you know, are they going to go back to what got them in? And a lot of times it's because a lot of them just don't know that, you know, I love you, or you're my friend, or anything like that. So what I'm doing is I'm working with the sheriff department in Mecklenburg County and Cabarrus County, and just all over the counties in North Carolina, close where the you know, the detention centers are for children. I'm getting Christmas cards. So if you would like to the flyers probably going to go out today or tomorrow. And if you would like, you can send a Christmas card and just write a special message in it. Not too personal, but it has to, they're all going to be open. So, and at the same point, what else I'm doing? I'm just continuing to work on being engaged and being involved and just working on, I'm a very spiritual person and meditating and practicing that and prayer. And so that's what I'm doing and just trying to grow as a human being,
Wonderful, wonderful. Ms. Collette, do you want to add anything or?
Sure.
Okay.
What we're doing here locally. So I'm going to wear two hats here, one a Collette hat and one African American Caucus hat. I'm going to go with the Collette hat first. I have every intention of getting infiltrated with the Democratic Party to change our party in order for it to do what it's supposed to do for all of us. So that is my personal intention. I don't know if you guys can see Prince in the background. He keeps me steady. His spirit is still here with us.
I saw that in the background earlier. That's a thing we all do is look in the background.
I listen to Prince music and that keeps me going too. As far as the caucus is concerned, we are going to just completely infiltrate Mecklenburg County and educate Mecklenburg County. Of course, I am really, really focused on the Black vote. And I'm a little angry that the Democratic Party uses the Black vote as a number and not as an effector. So it is my intention through the caucus to actually just educate people on how their votes really affect and change our system. And Joel, I love what you are doing with the Christmas card thing. And if we can partner in any way with that, please let me know. We're also partnered with the Sheriff's Department. And we'll actually be going into the jails and teaching our residents there that can vote about voter education. So
awesome.
As we're reaching out, we can't forget, the people that are most forgotten,
Yes.
So yeah, we'll be doing that as well. But the main thing is education, and vote every year, vote every year, vote every year. Okay. That's what we're doing, Christian.
Excellent.
Christmas card? Thank Joel. What are you doing for Christmas cards? How are you, Joel?
Oh, you missed that section. They're sending Christmas cards to young people who are in prison. Is that correct?
Yes, to the juvenile detention center.
Yeah, juvenile detention. Yes.
Yes.
So
go
ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Joe.
I was going through the state. I was going through the state's centers, and the worst part about it, I actually started to cry. When I thought about that, because last time I went, there were 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and it's just so sad to me because they're children, and some might have killed and stealed and raped and did what they did. But, I was just like, in my heart, I know that we can turn this around for the better. That's why I was just like, I have to come on here with you guys. I was trying to get a signal. I got one. So
I feel you. When I'm in the mountains, I can barely, you have to like hold your hand up and touch a tree or something to get a signal. But hopefully the Biden-Harris administration with local and state people will push forward something that Cynthia Wallace was fighting for when she was running for office was to bring broadband to the rural areas. So that way they can have just as much access to information as we, because I assure you, if our rural voters had as much information and were able to fact check, they wouldn't vote for Trump. So that's my, I don't know, I'm hoping. So what I'm doing is the day after the election, maybe a couple of days after the election, I stopped posting anything political on my personal social media pages. All I am committed to posting from now on is just what I want people to see about, me losing weight or my family pictures or whatever the case may be. That's all I'm doing. I made a conscious effort when President Trump decided to ignore the COVID-19 virus in March after we had our show about COVID. to do everything I could to get him unelected because he was too dangerous for my family. That's been accomplished. And during that time period, I'm sure I ruffled some feathers within my own family. And so I have made a commitment to not post anything political. I'm just going to try to keep it positive on my personal Facebook page. I still have a political page that I'm going to post whatever needs to be posted to support or call someone accountable as well. So one of the suggestions may be, if you want to be involved in politics, have a personal social media page and then have a separate political page. So you can, because we can chew gum and walk at the same time. You can be a family, love your family members, but do not believe in their politics. And like, I can be a Cowboy fan, but still like my Philadelphia Eagle cousins, you know, that's just the reality. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm making a conscious effort, and it's hard to do because sometimes you get those confused, and when someone wants to share a funny meme, you want to post, you go, oh, I can't do it there because that might, you know. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here, and I hope that you know, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors, and I keep, and what we've said, and the reason we started the show was because we wanted people with as many different backgrounds to have conversations and to realize that we don't have to always agree, but we do have to be neighborly to each other when we walk out and wave to each other. And so also what we did is, a week after President-elect Biden and Kamala Harris was elected, I took all of my political signs out of my front yard. My Trump neighbors still have, I guess they're still diehard, you know, but out of respect for them, I took, really it was out of respect. I didn't want to put it in their face.
Don't want to rub salt in that wound.
Yeah, even though they did it to us for 4 years, I don't want to be like them. That was the whole reason to defeat Trump, is because I want to prove to people we can be better. You know, we can build back better. Oh, how's that? I think I threw that in there. So we only have a couple minutes left. If you are on this call, please stay on it so we can do a promotion, and I can thank you personally on Zoom. But Mama Ruth, you have a couple of
Yeah, I'm gonna be
comments?
doing something. Me being a multi-racial person, I guess. I mean, I don't consider myself Mexican, but I have a heart Mexican. And I do speak Spanish, I do speak English, and I'm trying to learn another language. Hopefully in 2021, I'll give y'all the surprise. But I just want to be a bridge builder. I want to make sure that my community understands the meaning and the power that we can have in understanding what voting is, what elections are. Not going by, like you said earlier, just because we think we're in this country and we see a white person and we're going to affiliate with the white one or the black one or whoever. We have to make the right decisions for our own future. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to respect anyone's opinion, everyone's different thoughts, but my job is to bring that education together and bridge them. Like if I can connect someone with Collette or with Janice or with medical health with Barb, I'm going to do what's on my part. I can't say what's going to be the outcome, but at least I'm going to bridge them in, connect them. And then from there, you know, I that's what I feel like I am. I'm like a Cupid for our community. That's it.
Well, listen, we've run out of time, and I want to thank everyone, and I hope everyone is going to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for, that we live in a country that we can even have these conversations. It feels divided a lot of times, but in many ways, there are ways that we can come together.
Before we close, Chris.
Yeah. Yes,
close,
go ahead. Yes, please.
There's a lot of comments, and I really appreciate everyone that has been connected and doing their comments and stuff. But one that really touched my heart was when you mentioned earlier that, you know, that you're not being cared by Democrats, or, you know, you get in trouble all the time. There was a comment that really touched my heart today, because I know you. And it says, to know you is to love you, Christian Cano. You get in trouble when you speak up. You point things out good. And that was from Lynn.
Well, thank you, Lynn. And I guess in a way, I follow kind of Joel's motto. They don't pay my salary. They don't write my checks. So, you know what? And even if they did, I would cash the check and still say you're crazy. So it's just so anywho, we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us where you're going to be And then, of course, next week's show, we start our December shows. Can you believe that? On December 2nd, it's going to be, is President Biden for better for our Latinx neighbors? Latinx community was very excited. Is he actually going to be better than Trump? So it'd be interesting to talk about that. On December 9th, which this is specifically for Stephen and Dr. B, it's the great Latinx debate, Medicare for all. We're going to actually finally debate Medicare for all on this show. We've done it on December 16th. Is it time to stop believing in Santa Claus? I don't know. Do we need to stop believing in Santa Claus and be more?
Not believing in them, but maybe just letting our kids know who's Santa Claus and what he gets and what we really buy.
Yes. He's always your uncle with the mustache. I'm just going to tell you
right.
that. December 23rd, living Latinx and living as a Christian. We want to talk about what it's like to live, because that's different. You have, anyway, that's a important conversation. And then on December 30th, our day before New Year's Eve, we're actually going to talk about goodbye 2020, bless your heart. That is actually our saying. Our saying on here is, we learned here in the South, in North Charlotte, North Carolina, the politest way to tell someone is bless your heart. And so we're going to talk.
The hard part of it is that we're not going to be able to let go of 2020 because it's going to continue to be.
Yeah.
Ignore it. Ignore it.
Oh,
Yeah, don't let it live rent free in your head.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Janice's philosophy. I like the, you know what? It is.
ignore it.
Ignore it. It's hard, but it's hard for all
Just
of
let
us,
it be
but
like
I
water on a
this.
duck's behind.
Mhm.
Slide
Let it
right off.
go.
We're
Let
just
it go.
going to change a number 0 to 1, and that's it.
Yes. All right, and then we're all going to join the gyms and lose weight like we always do.
Hey, I already started.
Actually,
So I'll be
Joel's
here
actually the only one that-
tomorrow.
yeah.
I'll be here.
Okay.
And actually tomorrow morning, even though it's Thanksgiving Day, I'm still going to do my Zumba early in the morning since we swapped it.
Okay.
But I do Zumba
All right,
every
so-
night.
Yeah, you've
I'll
been
be
very
here.
dedicated. Okay, Brady rent screen. We're gonna go. Joel, can you go first this time? And then we're gonna go Joel, Mama Ruth, Colette. I don't have my glasses on. Miss Janice, go last, and tell us where you're gonna be in 30 seconds or less.
Where we gonna
All right.
be? Where for Thanksgiving? Where we gonna be? Where?
What are we going to be doing? Where are we going to be at? Are we traveling or are we staying here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just kind of threw that out. Yeah. So what we do at the end of the show is you tell us where you're going to be, any events you want to inform people about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jess. I'm like, she's on here every week. Okay. All right. Okay, Joel, you go first.
All right. Well, where I'm gonna be for the end of the month, I'll be up here in Lake Lure, trying to dodge all these golf balls. Oh God, I'm like right behind a golf thing right here. I was reading the Bible yesterday, and this ball came and almost hit me. I was like, oh my God.
Joel, you cannot be Joel, you cannot be sitting there with a Prada sweater complaining about being hit with golf balls and ask us to be sorry. So it's just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The
right.
upper class life, right? Wow.
Right. Bless your heart. That's what my
Bless your
bless your heart.
Bless your heart. All right, who's next? I'm sorry.
I think it's Barb.
I'm going to be cooking tomorrow, and then I'm headed to Art's house in Rock Hill. I'm feeding him my family's traditional Thanksgiving, except he's allergic to turkey, so I'm making chicken. And then I'm coming back home and do my yard work, if it's not raining, but I'm praying for rain.
It's going to be raining tomorrow, hopefully. Go ahead. Let me see. Colette.
So just as a reminder, every fourth Tuesday, the African American Caucus meets. We've been meeting virtually. We will be putting out our new 2021 voter education guide before January. If you've already purchased the link for the last one, you'll never have to purchase it again. You'll just click on that link and you'll see all the updates. So we're excited about that. So we meet on every fourth Tuesday. For Thanksgiving, I have a turkey brining, a 20-pound turkey brining right now for people that are here that aren't going to be around their families and want to come and pick up a plate. hey, let me know. I'm gonna be cooking some dressing,
that's nice.
some macaroni and cheese, some greens,
Mm.
everything. I have a person, one of my people that's in my bubble, they'll be here tonight making cakes from scratch. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
anybody that needs a plate, let me know. And yeah, we're gonna do the Thanksgiving thing. I got you, Janice. I got you.
Who's next?
I was gonna ask last night on the meeting, but I didn't want to, disturb. I didn't want to feel greedy.
I think that's.
Am I next?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
believe
If
so.
you want to,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Shadow is my cat of about 18 years. Shadow and I will be here for Thanksgiving. We are following the CDC's guidelines and hunkering down, not staying away from groups. So I'm not going home to my traditional family Thanksgiving dinner. Every third Thursday of the month, we have the Dim Good Time Valentine. And Kano, like you, Jennifer Gaddy and I started the Dim Good Time brand 4 years ago after Trump was elected. And so we've been running strong for 4 years, and we never not have it. So in December, we will have our third Thursday Dim Good Time. We send that out, and so I hope you guys can join us sometime. We have a great time. And so that's what we'll be doing. And then with my precinct 148 out here in January, we'll start getting a strategy session together to start planning for how we're going to affect 2021 elections. And so that's what I got planned.
Good.
Next.
I'm gonna go because I got something on the
Okay.
kitchen.
Yep.
I'll be here with my house. Only my family that lives in my house will be joining us this year. Keeping our safety measures here. I'm cooking. I'm cooking turkey, ham, like our traditional dinners, greens, mac and cheese. But I want to remind everyone, whoever doesn't know, I sit on a Charlotte Community Health Board, Community Health Clinic. We are giving out free COVID testings Monday through Thursdays between 3 and 4. You don't have to have symptoms or anything. Just drive up and get tested on University area. That's off University and Muller Creek, that building right there, Charlotte Community Health Clinic. It's completely free. So don't worry about, paying for special testing. That's what's going on Monday through Thursday. So keep in mind if you need to go get tested. And y'all have a very, very happy Thanksgiving with your loved ones.
Yes. I lost track. Did you go, Stephen?
Not yet, but I'm just
Okay,
going to be
go ahead,
looking
Steve.
forward to a tryptophan-induced haze over the weekend, and that'll be that. I'm going to go eat some dinner with some family, eat some dessert with some friends, and just enjoy what is my favorite holiday.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. If you're on Zoom, stay on as we disconnect with Facebook so we can thank you personally and make a very quick promotion for the show. I am here in Tampa, Florida, visiting my family in Tampa. We're doing it as safely as possible, following the CDC guidelines. We got tested before, just ran out of the car to put gas and go to the bathroom at the gas stations, ran back in, fully masked, sprayed ourselves down. We're probably, really obsessed with being clean. Going to wave at some of the family that we may not feel are quarantining properly in a car, and the other people were outside and distancing. But the most important thing is we're going to be watching the Dallas Cowboys play tomorrow at 4:00 Eastern time, play the Washington football team. If we win that game, it doesn't make any difference if we go to the Super Bowl, as long as we can beat the Washington team. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And then of course, next week we'll have our show again. We'll be back in Charlotte. And so thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. Please remember, it's just a little inconvenient to do what we need to do to keep each other safe, so that way we can see each other next Thanksgiving. And so please be safe. We're going to wave bye. And I guess that's it for this show. Bye, y'all.